Hello there. Now, Tommy Robinson might not have been physically in court today, but he still gave as good as he got. Now, when you come across Tommy Robinson, you always expect a few fireworks, don't you? And today was no different. But the timing could not have been better for him. Now, I've got a few notes here, so I'll be looking down frequently, so just so you know, because I don't want to miss anything out. Okay, now, Tommy was appearing in the Royal Courts of Justice in Courtroom 3 in front of Mr. Justice Chamberlain. On his side, he had a team of lawyers, a couple of barristers and some helpers, led by Mr. Williamson, and the Home Office had a Mr. Cox in charge of his team. Now, Tommy appeared virtually, so he was in a room in Wood Hill Prison, where he's being kept in solitary confinement, which is what this case was all about. And he was there in if I remember rightly, he had a grey t-shirt on, shorts, and a rather fulsome beard. And he had a table that was facing the camera and pencil and paper and stuff like that, so he could take some notes. Now, when I got in there, I noticed that when he tapped on the table, you could hear him tapping on the table through the loudspeakers in the court. Okay, so I thought, okay, so will he be speaking or something? But as soon as the case started, that was cut off. So even if he shouted, he could not be heard. We could see him, and we could see that he was a little bit agitated because the court case didn't start immediately, but it did get underway a couple of minutes later. Now, he did look fit and well, I've got to say, and there didn't appear to be much wrong with his demeanour, other than he was a little bit agitated about this case. I think it's very, very important to him to get out of solitary confinement, because this case is a judicial review case, where the Tommy's team want to get the judge to order the Home Office to review the decisions taken to put him in solitary confinement in a high category prison. And if they can get them to do that, that might end up that he goes into a lower category prison and actually is able to mix with other prisoners without being held in solitary confinement. And that might mean moving him to a different prison, okay, where they can manage that better than they can in Wood Hill. But that's what that was all about. Now, although he had his sound turned off, Tommy still had his say, and oh boy did he do it well. Now, the case started off as you would expect, all lawyerly, very civilised, both sides presenting the case, and it went through in exactly what you would expect. There was no drama, it wasn't a courtroom drama or anything like that. Two barristers arguing their case in front of the judge, and this is a judicial review, it's not criminal or anything like that. And what the Tommy's team said was that what the prison was doing was wrong, because it's ended up with a report coming out from an independent psychologist that he is under pressure to the extent it could be called torture. And I've talked about this before, and Tommy's X team put this out on X about this particular report, and it sounded pretty damning. Now, the Home Office team, of course, said, well, no, that's all rubbish. Not in those words, but basically it's all rubbish, because he's got daily visits by doctors and prison officers, and also from a chaplain, so he's got all this interaction with other people, so he shouldn't have a problem. He's allowed to work, he's allowed to go to the gym, he's allowed out of his cell, and they gave all the timings and everything, and it all sounded so good. And here was me in the background thinking, well, a team of or a psychologist has already said it looks like torture what he's suffering from, not because they tick all the boxes of how much he gets out and how much he works, but because of the psychological effect it's having on him, and however they're managing the prison. But the judge seemed to be favouring, to me, sort of listening very avidly to what the Home Office was saying about how many visits he gets and all this sort of thing. But this is the case where, at the time, where Tommy got rather agitated, and he was sort of waving his arms and getting really quite, and you could see him on the camera as we were watching him. And at this point, the Mr. Justice Chamberlain turned round to Mr. Williamson and said, look, it looks like your client, Mr. Yaxley Lennon, is having a bit of a problem with what the Home Office team is saying. So what I want you to do, I'm going to have an adjournment for half an hour. I want you to go away and phone up Mr. Yaxley Lennon, find out what all the problems are, come back, we'll reconvene and we'll continue, which is fine. So we all went away and had a cup of coffee or whatever, came back in half an hour. And when we got back, Tommy was already back in his room, having had a phone chat with the solicitor. But then he wrote on a piece of paper and held it up to the camera, and it said, "They cut me off." Yeah, they cut me off. And as the case reconvened and everybody sat down, he put up another piece of paper, and it said, "They live monitor my calls, they listened and cut me off." So we're sort of looking at each other. What? They cut him off from his solicitor during a case when he's in front of everybody on a live stream. Yes, he was doing a live stream, his own personal live stream from prison. Yeah. And he's doing this live stream. He's on the live stream, and they've cut him off while he's trying to talk to his solicitor. Now, I expected the judge to get a bit testy about this and get a bit sort of ballistic, because he's told them to talk, he's told them to go and do it, and someone somewhere has pulled the plug. Now, I don't know, is that contempt of court? But he didn't. What he actually said was, go and try again. And he got Tommy's barrister and the Home Office barrister to go away and work out how they could make sure that the prison connected Tommy's barrister to Tommy so that they could talk and find out what was going on. Okay, so then we had another adjournment, and off we went, had another coffee and another sausage roll, whatever, and then came back. And when we reconvened, Tommy had managed to talk to the barrister, and the barrister explained where the Home Office was wrong in what it was claiming. So he then pointed out a few of the errors in what the Home Office was saying about the wonderful world in which Tommy Robinson lived. And the judge was listening. He was listening now, because I think he'd seen something of what Tommy was going through when that phone was cut off, for whatever reason. So he was listening a little bit more intently to this. And the point here now is that because the court time was so tight, he said he would have to take away all the paperwork, everything, all the new evidence, and in the back of his mind probably thinking about this cut-off telephone call, which actually interrupted his day as much as anybody else's, and said that he would work on it overnight and come out with a written judgment tomorrow. Just a written judgment. There will be no more court appearances. It will just come out as it is. It won't be in a draft form even, which they sometimes circulate draft forms to people. I don't know why they do that, maybe to have a quiet discussion about it, I don't know. But he said no, it's coming out in text form tomorrow, and that's going to be it. But Tommy had his say. He got his message across. He really did. And as I said, the timing could not have been better.